Have you ever thought to yourself that I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed, or I'll never get anywhere? That voice is your inner critic. And unless you deal with it, it's going to sabotage everything in your life. Your happiness, your confidence and self-esteem, relationships, and any level of success that you're trying to achieve. Now, the good news is you can learn to control it. And in this video, you'll learn where it comes from, how to stop it from sabotaging your life, and also 3 simple, proven strategies for beginning to take control of your inner critic. So stick around, because by the end, you'll know how to shut down your inner critic for good. So where does your inner critic come from? You weren't born with it. No one is. Your inner critic was developed over time. And for many people, it comes back down to childhood experiences with significant others. Maybe an overcritical parent or a teacher told you were no good and wouldn't amount to anything. But there's also past failures as well to deal with. Any mistakes that you've made, you will run the fear of making those mistakes again. So your inner critic will be in your ear. And there's also societal and cultural pressures as well. We're constantly being bombarded with messages telling that we need to have this, we need to look like this, we need to live here, do this, do that. And it gnaws away, and your self-critic and your inner critic can really start to take a hold here. I mean, personally, my inner critic comes from when I was young. My mother was overly critical. It was never encouraging at all. And I was constantly told when I was at school that I was rubbish at maths. Now, when I got to college, I met an amazing teacher called Mike Godfrey, and he turned it around, made me realize that maths isn't as complicated as I thought it was, and I actually got really good at it. So I changed that belief with a little bit of help. So why doesn't your inner critic go away? Well, the thing is, it's, as I've said in a previous video, and I'll share a link to it, your subconscious, your inner critic, is trying to protect you from harm. It's trying to save you from failure, trying to save you from pain, from embarrassment, from further failure. Your inner critic is actually trying to eliminate or minimize risk. But the truth is, eliminating or minimizing this risk isn't actually helping you at all. It will hold you back from happiness and success in your life, and it will also stop you from getting what you want. Not only that, it will keep you stuck in unhelpful habits and ways of thinking. And if you don't deal with it, it will control you for the rest of your life. So how can we begin to deal with this? Well, I'm going to give you 3 methods. You can use them all together, or you can use them one by one. I recommend doing more than one. So first off, give your inner critic a silly name. Now, you could call it Negative Nancy or Doubtful Duncan, assuming your name's not Nancy or Duncan. And when that voice starts creeping in, you could simply say something like, oh, there goes Negative Nancy again. See, what we're trying to do here is to separate it from you, because it isn't you. We're trying to depersonalize it and make your inner voice something other, because ultimately it's not you. Another powerful methodology is to challenge this negative, doubtful, critical thinking by simply saying, is that true? So if it says, you know, you're not good enough, you say, well, is that really true? Or if it says, no, you can't do this, you can just say, is that actually true? And what we're doing is we're actually throwing doubts on your doubts. And to some extent, it kind of tricks the subconscious. And when your inner critic starts asking you whether you're good enough or telling you not good enough, most of the time it's wrong. You are good enough. You are more than capable. So what we're looking to do is to flip the script. So when your inner critic says you can't do that, you need to turn around and say, well, clearly I've got some learning and development to do. If your inner critic says you're not good enough, you could simply turn around and say, actually, that's not true. I'm worthy and more than good enough. And here's the cool thing about it. When you start rewiring your thoughts, you begin to totally rewire and change your reality. And the last one is that you can begin to turn your inner critic into a coach. When it says you're not ready, turn around and say, clearly I have a little bit more preparation to do. When it says that you're going to fail, you could simply say, well, at least I'm going to learn something valuable. You're beginning to retrain it. You're beginning to respond with a positive statement that's going to take you far. And finally, Just remember that your inner critic is not you. It's your subconscious trying to protect you. And it's, for the most part, it's not a bad thing. But you need to start trying to retrain this inner critic to be far more positive, because your inner critic does not define you. So when you hear that voice, simply turn around and say, actually, I'm in control here. So start using these strategies today. I promise you it will make a huge difference. You will turn that inner critic from self-sabotage into being your biggest strength and ally. And as usual, if you've got questions, just ask below, subscribe to the channel, like and share.